Hello and welcome to Miata Mania qualifying help guide tutorial, whatever you would like to call it. Anyway, this is what happens in terms of how you qualify for Miata Mania and how you actually get into a race. So at the top you can see it says enter. That means you can enter the lobby. So if you see that, spam join, get involved. Now the lobby size will vary on track to track basis. The first round, for example, is such a small track. We're probably going to have a full lobby, but have a number of people go out each time. And I will explain that in just a second. So when you see enter, you can enter. When you see do not enter, do not enter. Because that will impact the qualifying. And we can't have that happen. There are rules behind that. So please just make sure you don't join when it says do not enter. If you're unsure about what happens, there is a Discord area which has like a live notification basically. It says enter or do not enter. And it will be on there. Generally speaking, a lobby will be open for 5 minutes, or alternatively, it will be closed if the lobby is full, because it is full at that point. Now, what you will then do is you can go out on circuit and have a bit of a practice. Generally speaking, it'll be 5 minutes if you're one of the first in there. You can do a few laps. You should have been practicing beforehand, so obviously this is just to get you warmed up for the lobby. Occasionally, you may find you've got a grip bug, so you want to leave and then come back in. But even so, you get out there and you can do a little bit of practice. What will then happen is right before, 1 minute before, in fact, I will wish you good luck and say starting soon. Then we will start the qualifying. You remain in the pits until I call your name out, like the example you can see right there. You remain in the pits. I have set intervals depending on the circuit when you can go out on circuit. As I said, with the first round, because it's such a small circuit, there's a potential that we'll only have 4 people out at a time. However, there'll be a maximum number of people available in the lobby. I still don't know what the exact number is going to be, but let's just say I've got 12 people in the lobby. It'll be 4, and then they do their 2 flying laps, then another 4, and then another 4. Now, I've just mentioned it. You do 2 fast laps. So you have an out lap. So you go out the pits. You then do your first flying lap. And then you do your second flying lap. And then after that second final lap, you are going to pull over to a specific area of the circuit that I have said in the chat or in the Discord notice board beforehand. And you will stay there until I say you are done and you can then leave the lobby. Now, as I said, it's a small track this first round, so there's a potential that you will have to stay there for quite some time. Basically, the whole idea is you need to make sure you are not impacting anybody else's lap. Now, in terms of impacting anybody else's lap, let's just say you have a big old crash on a circuit. What you should do is rejoin the circuit when it is safe to do so. You should not impede anybody else. If you are unsure whether you should rejoin, just sit there and wait, and I will get involved where necessary, where I can then say rejoin if you are struggling. So just stay where you are, make sure you're not on the racing line or anything like that. Stay out of the way. If you feel you're confident you can rejoin in a safe manner, bearing in mind there's lots of big gaps between each driver, please rejoin and carry on. Now, if you end up in slipstream because you've crashed and suddenly end up right behind somebody, you need to get out of that slipstream. Slipstreaming is not allowed. The one exception, although we have big gaps, is if you just catch somebody. Let's just say somebody ahead of you is going 10 seconds slower than you are on a per lap basis, and you've caught them up in that lap. You do not have to give up your flying lap in that situation. It's just a little bit random, and you've just got a little bit lucky and managed to get that slipstream. However, the MX-5s don't really have a huge advantage with the slipstream anyway, so it's not a big deal in the grand scheme of it. Once the 2 laps, and everybody's done their 2 laps, are done and everyone's parked to the right hand side, I actually go to the results screen for a good 30 seconds to a minute, so you won't see or hear anybody doing anything. This is to make sure I have the results so I can put them into the data that I have, and you then end up in a split. Once qualifying is all finished and done, I will put everybody into a split and then it will be published in the notice board. If there are more than 60 people that have qualified, it will be the top 60 that are racing. If there are less than 60 that have qualified, then you are guaranteed to be in a split, and we will just organise the splits accordingly. Then, in terms of race day, we know we start with split 1. Why do we start with split 1? Well, we start with split 1 in case somebody suddenly has an emergency, doesn't turn up, whatever it might be. So what happens if somebody in split 1 doesn't turn up? Top of split 2 will then be brought in to split 1, and therefore top of split 3 goes into split 2, and top of split 4 goes into split 3. If there have been more than 60 people, the first reserve, which will be the fastest reserve driver, will then go into split 4. That's why we order the qualifying in that way, so that way we've always got full lobbies and everybody gets the chance to race. Is it bad luck to go from top of split 2 to split 1? No. As we saw in Fugu Frenzy, a lot of people that progressed into the higher split actually got more points than was available in the lower split because they came from the back through towards the mid-pack or even towards the front. In some situations, a podium was even gained there. So there is every advantage to being promoted and there's no disadvantage to not be promoted. That is going to be it then in terms of the qualifying and how the racing happens. I do hope that has been informative for you and I look forward to seeing you in qualifying very soon.